Hey there internets, I'm Michael and this is Toucan Play That Game with a review of Oh My Gods! And again, it's a game with an exclamation mark. There seemed to be a habit of those recently. But yeah, so Oh My Gods. Well, what is it? Firstly, it's a game from Gameworthy Labs, designed, developed and drawn by Tim Blank. It's a one-man show over there. Looking at the box here, we can see we have a hill and a guy with nothing in his hands. What you can't tell is that this guy with nothing in his hands is Zeus. And the reason for that is because someone has stolen his lightning bolt here. So the whole nature of the game is that it is a deduction game where you are each trying to determine who is the god that has stolen Zeus's lightning bolt. Why don't we take a look at the table for a closer look at how this all works. So here is it all set out for free players. This is our Olympus, which is just in the centre, no man's land. This is our lightning thief here. This is who we're trying to identify. And then each player has one of these shields to hide behind and a hand of 5 cards. Whoever has the Zeus card will be going first, which will be this player over here. They would then sit Zeus in front of them, which will mean that they'll get targeted by some card effects that target whoever has this. They then take a random card out of Olympus to make their hand back up to 5 cards. So let's look at this first player's turn. So this would obviously normally all be secret behind your shield here, but let's just open this up for the sake of the video. So we can see this person's cards all here. Now these cards have on them a couple of things. First, they've got the name of the card, which will correspond to down here. Then they have an element. Now all the cards will be one of the 4 elements, or they also have a trait. And all the cards will be one of the 5 traits. They then have a special power, and there are lots of different special powers depending on what the card is. On your turn, you will start by searching for clues. To do this, you'll ask the player to your left to show you either a card with a specific element, trait or god on. So you pick one of the things you can see on your sheet here. Now how would you know what to pick? Well, for starters, let's look at here. We know the thief is not any of the cards we have. So we know it's not Poseidon. We know it's not Hephaestus, who's one of the fire ones. We know it's not Persephone, who's one of the earth ones, so over here. So we can rule that out. We know it's not Eros. And we know it's not Nike. So we can rule that out. There we go. So that's 5 already ruled out as the lightning thief. So we might say, well, we don't know any of the wisdom ones. So let's find out if the player to our left has a wisdom god. So we say, show me a god of wisdom. And that player will look at their cards and they will look at the symbols here and see if they do. So for example, the player to our left shows us Triton, but they only show us, they don't show any other player. So only we know that they have Triton, which means the lightning thief can't be Triton. And we can make a note here that player 2 has this card. So we know that if we ask player 2 for water or wisdom, they could well just show us Triton again. Now, when searching for clues, it's important to note that if the player to your left doesn't have any, so let's say we asked for a god of beauty. Let's say we do that. Now, the player to our left says, nope, I don't have any. So then it proceeds round the table until a player does have one to show us. What would happen then, though, if no one had any gods of beauty? Because, say, they're all in Olympus. Well, if it gets back round to us and no one has had a god to reveal us, and it's important to note people have to tell the truth here, they can't lie, then we'd get to ask a different question instead. So you're always going to gain some knowledge. You're always going to see at least one God card. And then having done that, we may guess the thief. So we say, oh my god, it was... And then we would look at this card and see if we're right. If we're right, we've won the game. If we're wrong, we're eliminated from the game and everyone gets to see our hands and we sit there and wait for the game to finish. So I don't recommend doing this on the first turn. The next is another optional action. We can play a god power. So you can pick one power to play, be it Zeus, who's down in front of us here, or one from our hand. Obviously, if we play it, then people will know. But they all give us ways to gain new information. So it's all about balancing that. It would then be the end of our turn and play would pass to the next player and the next player. As I say, the game will be over when someone correctly guesses the thief. Okay, so that is Oh My Gods. Well, what do I think of it? Let's start with the artwork. Now, the box is very representative of all the artwork as you've seen. It's very much this cartoony style that personally doesn't hugely appeal to me. Now, it's not bad, it doesn't put me off, and there are people who love this style artwork. There are definitely other games out there that are very popular that have this style artwork. Now, as I say, I've encountered people who love it, I've encountered people who hate it, I'm not keen on it, but meh, I can live with or without it really. So what about components? Well, the components are really good, high quality components in this. We'll start first with this rule book. It's short, it's concise, it's sweet, and it's nicely laid out, easy to understand, a really good rule book. Then the token for the lightning bolt is fine, hard weight cardboard. These cards are really nice, bright, vibrant, with this linen finish, very good, high quality cards. Then you've got this giant pad of things to note on. So loads of options there with those, but you don't even have to use that pad, because you can either get a pen or a pencil and use that, or you can get wipe clean pens, like dry erase pens, and you can just use the little cardboard booklets here. These are kind of just gloss effect card. That means they are wipe clean, which means they're reusable, which is great component wise. And the card itself is good, you know, it acts well as a screen. And then it's got what you need to do, how you run your turn. You could pretty much learn the game just from the inside of this. Fantastic. So what about the gameplay then? Well, it is a deduction game. It is a very short, concise deduction game. Very luck heavy? No, not really that luck heavy. There's a bit of luck in what powers you will have available to you because of what cards you were dealt at the beginning of the game. But then what you're going to be able to do with those cards throughout the game doesn't hugely change. Yes, you've got Zeus will move around, etc. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to what you're deciding to do when, what questions you are asking, what you are choosing to do with regards to using your cards, whether you hold on to them to hoard the information or you use them to gain a little bit more information about what else other people know. There's a lot of give and take and decision making in a short space of time. Now, there's a lot in common here with Cluedo, with the whole guessing information, learning a little bit here, a little bit there. But whereas the big problem with games like Cluedo was that they took too long, they were drawn out, and they had roll and move, this has none of that. It's quick, it's simple, it's snappy, turn, 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 comes to you. The big downside, gameplay-wise, player elimination. If you make a wrong guess, you're out of the game. There's no way around that. You can't still be in the game once you've made a wrong guess, because by guessing wrong, you had to just check what the card was. So there is no way around that, but that's the only real downside. But the game plays so quickly that it doesn't really matter. In, 20 minutes, half hour, the game's going to be over. More than likely, it would have taken at least 15 minutes before someone made a guess. So there's not a huge amount of downtime there, and they can still take fun seeing what other people are asking and playing along with the little bits of information that kind of become public. So yeah, that is Oh My Gods. The one thing I still haven't talked about is, of course, this is Toucan Play That Game. So how does the game scale? Well, unsurprising, as with most deduction-y type games, the more players the better. This plays 3 to 5 players. The optimum number definitely is that 5 players. 3 players works, but it's not ideal. You can try doing home ruling 2-player. It sort of works because you've got that Elysium area, but then there are certain cards that mean one player looks at that and then they've got too much information, or you look at the other player's cards and that gives you too much information. You can try and remove those cards, but then that throws off the balance. So it can be played 2-player. I wouldn't recommend it, and it does require a lot of home ruling to actually work at all. Okay, that is my thoughts on Oh My Goods. A good little deduction game that plays very quickly, very light game with some pretty artwork, some interesting take-that-y powers. So if you're interested, do check it out, and I hope that you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you have, please do check out the rest of the videos on the channel, as well as subscribing to the channel and also sharing it with your friends and family. And do also take a look at us on social media. You can find us on Facebook and on Twitter. And as always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.